In this lecture, we are going to start scripting our port scanner, which is basically a Python program that will, given a target IP address, will scan and given the IP address and given the port range, a specified port that we want to scan, will go over that port and then perform various types of scan on that particular port. And then so we have the algorithm that we are going to follow to create this particular Python program. So step number one, we are going to get input the target IP address, the scan type, the various type of scan. So we are going to input the particular type of scan that we want to perform on that particular host computer, and then we specify the port that we want to scan using that particular type of scanning technique. And then in the second step, we are going to actually perform the scan, and then finally we display the result. Now this will actually result into a number of functions, which we shall get to know the functions that we are going to create to actually realize this particular Python program. All right, so then I have already created a file. I name it portscanner.py, and I have already entered the shebang, and then just a simple comment to document what the program does, a simple port scanner. And then I have imported model ACFAS, which is the ACFAS model, which is the one that we are going to use to actually pass over the terminal and get the options that the user is going to input over the terminal. All right, I have also created function get argument, which we have been creating in the subsequent programs that we have created. Now, only that this particular get argument function has some little additions which we shall get to know, learn new things in this particular get argument. All right, so the new thing that we have added to this particular get argument function is a positional argument. So all the programs that we have treated, that we have looked into previously, we have been using optional argument. Optional argument in the sense that the program can actually run without actually inputting optional argument, but only that we might if the program later on realize that it actually needs those argument, then the program might crashes, or it might run into problems since we didn't input those optional argument. But positional argument, in contrast with optional argument, they are compulsory, that we must enter those positional argument before the program will even run. So the positional argument, just as the name implies, positional, the order in which we input positional argument is very important. It's very necessary. So let's take a look at the first positional argument that we entered. Parser.add argument. We added the name of the positional argument as target, and also the program will actually identify that particular positional argument with the name target. So and then we have the help message, which is the simple message that will be printed out when the user asks for the help menu. So so unlike optional argument that we have been treating before, we don't need to precede it by any flag when entering that a positional argument. Like in the case of port and the first optional argument, when we want to enter port, we have to precede it with -p or --port to enter, and then we enter the actual value of the port. But unlike these positional argument target, we don't need to precede it with any flag, with any switch. We just enter the actual value of the target. And the order, as I have said earlier, is very much necessary. So we can't enter scan before target. When we enter scan before target, then the program will assume that the target is the scan and the scan is the target. So we first have to enter target, then we enter the scan. Okay, so line number 15, we actually enter a positional argument, and the name of the positional argument is target, and then we have the help message that will be printed out when the user asks for the for the help menu. Then we have line number 16, also add argument scan, which is a option scan, and then this is actually the type of scan that we want the program to perform for us. And we have various type of scan. We have TCP scan, scene scan, XMS scan, UDP scan, pin scan, null scan, and arc scan, and then window scan. So the user can now enter the type of scan he wants, either TCP, either scene, either XMS, either UDP, fin, null scan, scan or window scan. So he's going to specify the scan type using any of these options. So and then that is basically about positional argument, and you can read more about the positional argument from the documentation, and I have included the link to the documentation of this argument FASA. You find it under the resources section. All right. So and then next we have the optional argument. The first optional argument is the -p or -- port, where the user will enter the port. And also we have another new something that we have added to this optional argument, type int. Here we are specifying to ACFAS that the type of the data value that we are expecting the user to enter for this optional argument should be integer. So whatsoever value he enters will be inputted into the program as integer, not as string. Normally, function add argument model ACFAS will pass our the options as strings, but in this case, since we have specified that it is int, it is going to we actually convert it into int. So then next line number 21, we also specify an argument as a -pl or -port list, where the user can enter the more than one port as a list. So you're going to enter the port number separated by a comma, and we have given it under the help message. Specify a port list to scan separated by a comma. Example 20, 30, 40, and as many ports as he wants to scan. And then next we also have line number 24. We have FASA.add argument, which is another optional argument, where the user can enter that particular optional argument using -pr or -port range. Now this is where he can specify a port range, number of port he wants to scan with a port range. Say you want to scan 40 to 100, then he enter 40-100. Now it is the responsibility of the program to now actually generate those port numbers 40, 41, 42 up to 100, and then scan those port and then just display the result for the user. In line number 29, we invoke function fastAx of object parser, which will now actually pass over the terminal and then get those values and then make it available to the program. And then finally, in line number 21, we return option. Now option will contain all option. The variable option will contain the value of both the optional argument and the positional argument. And in the earlier programs, we can see how we can access the argument using option option port range, for instance, to access the port range, or option target to access the target value that was actually inputted by the user. All right, so now let's go to the terminal and try run this program and see how this optional argument and positional argument actually works. So I'll just go to the terminal here, and then I will I'm already in the directory where I have this Python file. So I'll just enter sudo and then enter the name of the interpreter, name of the program, Python 3, and then the name of my program is portscanner.py. So when I enter -h, I'm going to see the help menu. Okay, so as we can see, we have them as positional argument. We have target as positional one of the positional argument, and then we have scan target to perform a scan on. We can see the help message, and then scan, we can see specify a scan type, TCP, SYN scan, XMS scan, UDP scan, fin scan, null scan, or ACK scan, or window scan. And then we can see the optional argument -h help, which is the one that we have just used, and then we have -p for port, -port, also to specify a single port to scan, and then -pl or -port list to specify a port list to scan separated by a comma. So we can say example 20, 30, 40, and then -pr, okay, which is a port range, to specify a port range. All right, so since we have this, now let's make use of this to now actually see what is going to happen. So all right, and also in the program I have assigned, line number 31, I have the function is going to return option, and then I have defined a variable called option, and then I invoke function get argument to actually run this particular function. So let's go back to the terminal and see how we can make use of it. So when I enter this, then I have to enter, since they are positional argument, I have to enter the target. Let me enter the target as 10.0 192.2.15, which is the IP address of the Windows 10 machine, and then followed by the scan, the type of scan that I want to perform. Let's say I want to perform TCP scan now, and then we have the optional argument. So in the optional argument, I can enter any of the, I can enter all of them, or I can specify just one. So since we see the optional argument, let's see whether the program will actually give us an error when we attempt running the program without entering the optional argument. Alright, as you can see, our program performs successfully. We didn't get any error. That means our program doesn't have any error. So as I have said earlier, they are optional argument. We don't need to enter them, but only that if our program require those functions, require those variables, the value of those variables, then we might have issues when the program might crash, or we might have a wrong output, or we might have something that we are not expecting to have as output. Alright, so now let's run the program again, but now this time around, let's enter the one of the optional argument -p. Let's say I'm trying to scan perform TCP scan on port 80, and then I hit enter. So as we can see, the program also performed successfully. So let me run the program now. Now let me enter port list 20, 90, say 100. Alright, there I enter the program. Also, the program performs successfully. Now let me enter the third optional argument -pr. Enter the port range 10 to 50, and then I hit enter. Also, our program performed successfully. Also, we didn't implement any error handling issue, so but we are going to implement that subsequently in the next function that we are going to implement in the next lecture. All right, so but now let's try, when we try to alter the position of the positional argument, the function will still work. Since we didn't, all right, but we are going to have we are going to end up with what we call a logical error, not a syntax error, because we have exchanged the position of the positional argument. So instead of entering the target first, let me enter the type of the scan first. So I'm going to delete this, and then we have the type of the scan first, then followed by the target 10.0.2.1, and then I'm going to perform the scan over port 80, then given the optional argument. Let me hit enter. So the program will still function, but only that when we try run, we might not have what we're expecting as the output. We are going to see that as well subsequently. Now also, let's try to enter just one of the positional argument, and then hit enter and see what we are going to have. So as we can see, as I said earlier, positional argument are necessary. They are compulsory. We must enter them before the program will actually function. So as we can see, error, the following argument are required, scan. So it is assuming that what we entered is the target, not scan. That is why they are positional arguments. So the position, the order in which we enter them is very important. So the program is expected, thought that what we entered as TCP is the target, not knowing that the TCP is the actually the scan type. So the order in which we enter the positional argument is very, very important. So we are going to stop here, and then in the next lecture we are going to continue this program.